Today we're going deep inside one of the most haunting novels ever written, Osamu Dazai's No Longer Human. Now this isn't your typical story. It's presented to us as a kind of chilling discovery, a set of notebooks from a man who felt so completely disconnected from everyone else he considered himself no longer human.
So the whole thing kicks off when an unnamed narrator stumbles upon 3 photographs of a man named Oba Yozo. These pictures, taken at different points in his life, are our very first peek into the mind we're about to get to know. But these aren't your average family snapshots. Nope, they are terrifying windows into a soul that feels utterly, completely alien.
Okay, so picture this first photo. It's a kid, maybe about 10 years old, and he's trying to smile, but something is just deeply wrong. His fists are clenched so tight, you just know that smile is a mask. The narrator doesn't even see a child's face. He sees something forced, something unnatural. He calls it a grinning monkey face. Chilling, right?
Then we get the second photo. The boy has grown up into a pretty handsome student, but somehow his smile is even more disturbing. It's described as having no substance, no weight, no real life to it at all. It's like a performance of a smile, drawn on a blank piece of paper. You look into his eyes and there's just nothing there.
And then there's the final picture, which is just the most haunting of them all. It's an adult man, and his face is completely blank. I mean, so empty of any character that it's impossible to even remember what he looks like after you look away. He's just hollow. And this leaves the narrator with one burning question. Who is this man? Well, the notebooks that follow are supposed to be his answer.
All right, so now we get to dive into the first notebook. It's called The Art of the Clown, and it takes us right back to his childhood. We meet our protagonist, Oba Yozo, and he tells us flat out that from his very earliest memories, he's been completely and utterly terrified of other people.
I mean, listen to those opening words. Mine has been a life of much shame. This isn't just some teenage angst, it's a fundamental disconnect from reality. He watches people go about their lives, eating, talking, working, and he just can't understand it. It's like he's a different species entirely, and he has to spend his whole life just mimicking human behavior to survive. So what do you do when you live in constant fear of everyone around you? For Yozo, the answer was to become a jester. He perfected the art of clowning to hide his terror, to keep people from looking too close. He'd do absurd things, anything to get a laugh. We're talking wearing a wool sweater in the dead of summer, doing a wild dance for the servants, deliberately failing at gymnastics in front of the whole school. It's all a desperate performance.
And this really shows you the heart of the problem. On the outside, he's the funny guy, the class clown, but on the inside, he's in a constant state of panic. Every single human interaction is like walking a tightrope over a canyon of dread. His jokes aren't for fun, they're a defense mechanism, born from pure, paralyzing fear.
So, in the second notebook, things really start to go downhill. Yozo heads off to high school and college in Tokyo, but the big city doesn't help. In fact, his isolation just gets worse. This is where his life really begins its slow, tragic spiral into chaos.
Then something huge happens. For the very first time, someone actually sees through his performance. A classmate named Takichi watches him intentionally fail at the horizontal bar and just whispers, "You did it on purpose." The mask slips. But then this same classmate makes 2 prophecies that will basically define the rest of Yozo's tragic life.
This is actually a major breakthrough for Yozo. Taikeichi gets him interested in art and shows him that it doesn't have to be pretty. It can be a way to paint your inner demons. For the first time, Yozo finds an outlet. He starts painting these horrifying self-portraits, revealing the monstrous truth he feels inside, the face he hides from the entire world.
In Tokyo, Yozo falls in with a cynical art student named Horiki, who basically teaches him how to numb his fear. He finds out that alcohol, cigarettes, and prostitutes offer a way to escape, at least for a little while. He even joins a secret political group, not because he believes in it, but because he's drawn to its irrationality. But of course, these escapes just lead him deeper into debt and despair.
And this downward spiral leads us to the tragic heart of the story. Yozo is now broke and desperate, and he meets a waitress named Tsuneko, and in her, he sees a fellow lost soul. He feels a connection he has never, ever felt before. You see, she's weighed down by her own quiet sadness. And with her, Yozo doesn't have to pretend. He doesn't have to be the clown. He can just be his gloomy, silent self, and she just gets it. Her sadness mirrors his, and for one single night, he feels something he actually calls happiness. It's a tiny, fragile moment of peace.
But that peace is shattered, of course. When his friend Horiki meets Tsuneko, he says this unbelievably cruel thing about her. He basically says she's so pathetic and poor that she's beneath even his contempt. And in that awful moment, Yozo feels this overwhelming kinship with her. He realizes they're both the same. They're both damaged outcasts.
And this feeling is captured perfectly by the book's original Japanese title, Ningen Shikaku. It translates to disqualified as a human being. And that's it, right? That is the core of Yozo's entire identity, this feeling of being worthless. And now he sees Tsuneko as being disqualified right there with him. The breaking point comes from this moment of absolute humiliation. Tsuneko asks for money for milk, and Yozo opens his wallet to find just 3 worthless copper coins. The shame of his poverty is just too much to bear. It shatters him. And that night, they walk into the sea together. She drowns. He survives.
Now, you would think that after a tragedy like that, something would change. But what's Yozo's first instinct? To perform. He's at the police station, being charged as an accomplice to her death, and he fakes coughing up blood to get sympathy from the officers. The lifelong habit of clowning, of lying, just takes over immediately.
He puts on this whole dramatic show for the police, playing the heartbroken lover. But then he's brought before the district attorney. And this guy is different. He's smart, he's quiet, and he just sits there watching Yozo's entire act. After Yozo lets out an extra dramatic cough, the prosecutor just looks at him with this calm little smile. And then he asks one simple, devastating question. Was that real? In that single moment, Yozo's entire life of performing and hiding is just laid bare. And it leaves us, the reader, with that exact same question. In a life built on a foundation of lies, what, if anything, was ever real?